When it comes to Helldivers, a major mechanic we all engage with is the galactic map or war at our main map terminal in our destroyers. For the past few months, I feel some issues have started to rise to the point that it makes fighting in this war just completely useless unless engaged with the MO. So I wanted to offer some ideas on how I feel we could better the system to make it feel more engaging for Helldivers. For example, in my opinion, both Super Earth and enemy factions should be able to build structures to increase defensive value of a planet. Now, let's talk about this through the perspective from Super Earth, since obviously that's who we play as. I think it would be perfect way to create currency dump and these dumps be more meaningful than a few hour buff during a liberation through our DSS. Imagine if for 30,000 common samples or 150,000 requisitions, Helldivers could fund the construction of SAM site networks on a planet on the bot front, or fund early detection satellite fields on a planet for bugs for a small price, or a rather large price, because this is a community game. These don't need to be actual in-game elements, but lore fluff to secret values that add defense stats to planets to make it harder for the enemies of Super Earth to take a planet. Well, I know someone is going to say, well, then it would be easy for Super Earth to win the Galactic War. The same should go for the bots and bugs. For example, the automatons have held Cyberstan, their capital, for quite some time now. Why shouldn't they have great automaton walls, fortress world level defenses? These may be able to be represented in game, but at least this is a way for bots to fortify their own worlds. So if Super Earth or an enemy faction holds a planet for, let's say, a week, we can start fortifying that world with defenses. And I don't mind if it costs a lot either. I have been at max samples, max recs, max medals for a long time now, and the DSS just feels pointless to invest in. But a long term investment that could come in clutch for us when it comes to defending our borders, I think everyone would be game for that. Increase agency of players as well as heightened aggression for enemy factions. I feel personally that even though Helldivers does have a built in system that checks activity players and determines the weight of their impact on the liberation, depending on how many players they have playing. However, as easy as it is to call me a sore loser, I feel this isn't enough. I would prefer more fluidity to the map. I think it'd be much more interesting if it was more possible for 8 to 10,000 Helldivers to take a planet. However, the increased ability for lower player numbers to take a planet, I think the flip side should happen, where more automatons, bugs, and squids are much more aggressive in attacking and try to seize territory. While I write and record this, we have 8,000 players on Cirrus, meaning we can't take the planet anymore, which is troublesome to me because it feels that since we have 18,000 players off doing bots and bugs on worlds where only hundreds, not thousands, hundreds of divers are operating, making no progress, those who do manage to get enough troops mustered to a planet still can't make progress at all, which can be quite demoralizing. I know the instant counter to this would be that it's a live service game and a galactic war is not supposed to be easy, or the war would finish and the game would be over. And that mindset is right, but this line of thinking I'm on only comes from scenarios where all the chips are stacked in our favor, but we don't have enough divers to move the needle. And I feel maybe having more buffs to move that needle when in situations like Martal or Cirrus isn't that big of an ask. As well as, I'm not saying just buff Helldivers. I would love to see the enemies also get a buff in aggression. It feels weird that these factions rarely, unless it's an MO, ever act on their own, attack us, or always seem to be on the defensive. So a more active battlefield to me would be a more interesting path to head down. On defense for planets, it would be interesting if we were given a second chance for operations called Capital Defense. Now, I found out about this mission type in the first game. However, I never played the first one, and I don't know how it worked in Helldivers 1, but let's borrow the name. Imagine Helm's Deep type mission scenario, where Helldivers, after failing a planetary defense, have one final chance to give the defense forces a second breath, where all the attack forces are now attacking the main city's capital. Now, the defense campaign turns into a multi operational war with a final stand in the capital city of said world. What this will do is for the next 4 hours, Helldivers will have to fight on a world's capital, and they can generate enough attrition they can actually clutch and win the planetary defense. giving divers a second chance at defending planets. This is a unique way that plays into my previous idea where players have more agency, ways where divers don't feel like they have no way to influence the war unless they play with the main blob of forces. And that's going to do it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and tell me down below what you guys think about these ideas I have for Helldivers 2, as well as I'd love to hear your own ideas. And while I love this game, I can't help but think of ways that we can improve the overall experience. And with that, I'll call it. Be safe, have fun, and I'll catch y'all next time.